with some of the council members who, maybe ran because they didn't like me or they're getting back at me or something.
Yeah.
And that was ridiculous, okay? We get along pretty well now. I think our council, we have 7 counselors. I think I'm on speaking terms with every single one of them. They know how to reach me. I'll sit down and talk with any of them. If they have ideas, I'm all ears. We have to lift our community up as a united front. If we do that, we're going to be successful. If we are divisive and we're fighting and pulling like tug of war within our own community, we go nowhere. And in fact, it reflects very poorly outside of Galesburg. People are looking for, honestly, harmonious places to live, places that are peaceful, safe, free of war, free of violence. That's what we all want, no matter where we live, right? Yeah. And so to the extent we can do that here, we're going to be successful. We need to increase population. We need more people from outside to come live here. We need to build more houses, more apartments, all that stuff. We know that. It's a top priority. We're working on it every day. It's hard though, because the trend since 1960 something has been downward. And so, and part of that is because big manufacturing left. We have to find other ways of doing things, right? So we did get some manufacturing back in last year, and we probably hired 200-300 new people, which is fabulous, but we need to have a place for them to live. If we have no place for them to live, they're going to live, 30, 40 minutes to an hour away, and that's not going to be beneficial to anybody. We want their kids to grow up here. You grew up here, I suppose.
All my life.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and I, in some ways I'm kind of sad I didn't, right? Because I hear all those stories and all the things, and that if we grew up here or I've lived more of my life here now. So this is my home now, right? And so this is the place that I represent. I was given the privilege of representing. When I go elsewhere, people ask me where I'm from. And I say, I'm from Galesburg. And they're like, some people are like, well, where's that? And I say, well, that's where Judy's is. And they say, oh yeah, I know where that is now. There's other things about our community that I think we can point to that we have a lot to be thankful for. Yeah. And no matter where you live, or like you could go from your house to your neighborhood to the city as a whole, there's always room for improvement.
Agreed. Now you got into the aspect of, we need more housing and all that, which brought me, I'm just going to ask, I'm going to bring it up. What is your status, all the homeless coming into Galesburg? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I've become quite engaged in that issue the last 4 or 5 months. And partly because I've been hearing a lot more about it and a lot more complaining and a lot more concern. And I needed to find out for myself. Like, it's one thing to drive your car around and see people here and there, but until you talk to these people, until you talk to the agencies directly who are helping these people, you really don't know what their situation is. So what I've determined, that from all that time and effort that I've spent, and I also raised some money to help some people through some tough times, and that was all given to me from the community. Altogether now it's closing in on $7,000 over the course of the last few months that human beings, residents of Galesburg, have given me to support people who are, temporarily housed or need some food or whatever, need transportation. Anyway, what I've learned from my work and engagement is that, one, there are a lot of people who who are unhoused, who want housing. Okay, right. They are not happy. They're not satisfied where they are. And in fact, statistics nationally will say it's about 10% of people who are homeless prefer to be homeless in some capacity. But that means 9 out of 10 do not. And I would say it's probably close to that in Galesburg. So why aren't they able to find housing? Well, from what each person's a little different story. Some people have been released from their work. And they were working paycheck to paycheck, and now they don't have paycheck. And if you want apartment, you have to come up with about $1,500,
right?
Just to get in the door,
right? And
where are you going to get $1,500 when you're working paycheck to paycheck? So it is not an option. That's assuming we can find an apartment. I called. I was given a list of like 15 apartment complexes to call, and I called each one. I left messages. I couldn't find one apartment. The waiting list, even for public housing, is like 200 long. The average person doesn't know that. So if you don't have money or like $1,500, not just money, but $1,500.
Yeah.
And even if you did have $1,500, I'm not sure you could find one. You'd still be on a list to wait.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing: these folks, they don't have family around, like they can go hang out with mom. I mean, if we were to add up all the people who are staying with mom or dad or grandma and grandpa, and we consider them homeless, because they're not homeless, but they're living kind of on someone else's home, and it's only temporary. If we were to add those people up, we'd probably find 20% or more of this community is in that situation. But it's the people who don't have. So some of the people just they're temporarily like in a financial crisis, and they have nowhere to go. There is limited money and support for people to find for housing. There's limited housing. There's other people who have been evicted. So if you get evicted for whatever reason, and sometimes it could be your fault, maybe you made a mistake, or maybe you invited somebody in your house who broke something, or whatever reason you get evicted. If you get on an eviction list, that's on your record. People will not rent to you.
Right.
Okay. So there's those people. You have some people who they've had a sexual crime of some sort in the past, and there's a lot more people like that. And there's all kinds of. Some of them are more kind of problematic, than others. But some of these crimes were done 20, 30 years ago, and the people have served their time, but then they get let out and they got nowhere to go, and they're just destitute, and nobody will rent to them. The housing, by law, cannot give them a place to live. So you have some of those folks. You do have some folks who are being, you kind of alluded to this, who are being kind of sent to Galesburg. We've tried to undercover, what percentage of the people fit that description. It's actually not as many as you think. There are some, but it's generally, they didn't come here like on their own volition. We found out, there might be another community within an hour's drive that say, oh yeah, send the kids, people to Galesburg, give them a bus ticket, give them a train ticket.
Yeah.
And they end up here, and they're here, and they're stuck here. We believe that about 90% of those people, if given the right support systems, and I'm not just talking about financial, because there has to be some financial lift, but there has to be some mental health care involved, and there has to be, some food and some basic services like, job training or job placement, or like sanitary things. Like, it's amazing how many people who are in house, like they can't find a place to take a bath.
Right.
They go to Lake Story to take a bath. Well, you can't take a bath in Lake Story from November to April.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do? And how does that affect your own personal self-worth? If you hadn't taken a bath for like 3 months, no matter what else is going on in your life, you feel terrible about yourself and your condition.
Yeah.
And then you go outside, and what do you think happens? People look at you, they give you the finger, they throw things at you. Now, somebody might give you a meal on occasion, right? But how many people are showing you a negative response? So you already feel terrible about yourself. You're not happy that you haven't showered, but there's nowhere to go. So we are working on a comprehensive plan to hopefully you can interview me a year from now, and we'll have a facility that can serve the needs of these people, and really transition people from this state, hopefully this temporary state of homelessness, to a place where they have a place to live. And that's not easy. And you can go to any community in the United States, and it's a challenge. And it's a challenge is probably post-COVID, it's gotten worse, not better. I feel for people. I'm a humanitarian. I have that kind of compassion in me. It's built into me from my mother and father, I believe, who were very compassionate people. It's in my blood. And yet, I'll be honest with you, I've tried to help some folks, just lift them up, and it hasn't been favorable. Like, it's come back to bite me. I've gotten yelled at, I've been called names, I've been ghosted, and I could just, I have very thick skin being a politician as long as I have. So Sure. It's like, it kind of slides off of me, and I'm going to help the next person who comes to me.
So you don't give up, you just actually keep doing it.
Yeah. I might sort of give up on a couple of people, because at some point you like, I'm not the person to help them. Right. I mean, somebody can help them, but it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried, right? I'm not, I think that's true in life. Like in life, why did I succeed in many things that I did in life? Well, because I had coaches and mentors and a good family that supported me, that encouraged me, that gave me positive feedback, or even gave me critical feedback, depending on the situation. So I'm very fortunate in that regard. This is what really bothers me to no end. There are children who are either homeless or, like I said, living in someone else's house.
Gypsy lives.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. And what is that? What does their future look like?
Very grim.
Yeah, it is. And that's why I'm really focused on this community center project. And I know there hasn't been a lot spoken about it because we've kind of been working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But things are slowly coming together. And I think this year, again, I'll come back a year from now with you and we can, pull out the champagne or blow the celebratory whistles or whatever we have to do. Because I think sometimes things take time, and I think we're on the right track, and I think we have the council support to do something pretty awesome for young people.
I think that you're pretty amazing for the way that your heart is, but I have a stance where I told you that I drive the bus.
Okay.
So my stance is I have no issue helping homeless, none. I feel that if I see that you are doing everything in your power as much as you can in this town to do your part and try to get better, I'm all for it. But then you get those ones that ride the bus all darn day, don't want to get up and look for a job, don't want to go put in an application, and they're literally sitting on our bus all day. I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
Because I have helped.
Yeah.
We have that heart, you and I.
Yeah, I hear you.
So what is would you say you would be with me on that? Is that how you feel too? Or are you just the same with homeless, period?
Well, it is a case by case basis. And sometimes each of us draws a line somewhere. I mean, you have personal experience with that. And I can see being with those folks and seeing them show no initiative over time, it gets to you.
Very.
Okay. I'd have to look at the individual case. I mean, if my life sucked, but I could get on a bus and cruise Galesburg and just sit and chill and watch people.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good day compared to sitting outside in the cold and miserable and with no excitement, nothing to read, nothing to do. That's what people come to the library. They say, well, they come to the library. Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff to do at the library. Where else can they go in Galesburg? If they go into a restaurant, they're going to be told to leave. If they go, where are they supposed to go? Like, it's cold. So you can't be outside. You got to be inside. So where are you supposed to go? So I guess my question though is, those people, you said go get a job. I know people who have tried to get a job, and when you fill out the application, where do you live? Well, I don't live anywhere. Well, see the door. Like, how are you going to give somebody a job when they have nowhere to live, where they don't have a place to wash their clothes, where they haven't taken a shower in 3 months, and there's no place to do it? So part of me is, until we have a facility that offers them a shower, toothbrush, some clean clothes, basic food. When you give people basic things that they have to survive, then I think your point is well taken. There'll be people who just have no initiative. And those people, I don't know. I mean, you help them to the point you can help them.
Right.
Now, but if there's no place to shower, and you've done your time, let's say you take a person who's done their whatever years in prison or jail, and they're out, they serve their time, and they can't get a job, they can't get a house because nobody will offer them. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do. I think sitting on the bus probably is one of the better places. Now, if they're on the bus harassing people, and that you can't let folks harass other people. I don't care if you're destitute or not, right? There's no excuse for that. But my compassion probably extends a little further. But again, I'm not sitting on the bus every day watching the same people over and over and over again, because I think I would harden a little bit.
And I do. People. I have, and I will help you. I will get the shirt off my back. I'm like you all dang day. But it's just like, I know that there's warming shelters. I mean, I always drop them off over there at Iowa Court. I mean, there's the mission, and so those are the people I'm talking about. Like, yes, the warming center, they have to be kicked out in the morning at a certain time. That's what they, but they do get showered. They do, try to help. And then, application wise, they're, all like, they tell them to use that address at, there. So I'm cool with that. I'm good with that. But it's just when you have all of that and you are doing that, but you still don't want to do anything, that's when I have a problem, I guess.
Yeah, I look, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong in that opinion. I think there are people, and we have to ask ourselves, why do I I have no problem every day I get up. I got a million things to do. I don't get done with half the stuff I need to do every day because eventually I feel sleepy and I go to bed.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate to be in that situation. Mm-hmm. I'd hate to be the person who has nothing to do, right? And so then the question is, why did they become unmotivated? What kind of trauma have they been through? Mm-hmm. Why don't they see anything beneficial? And I'm not an expert. I'm not a social worker,
right?
But some of that is, their situation is based on their life experience, and whatever trauma, whatever bad experiences they have, which has basically deflated them to the point that they don't even want to get up and get a job or
depression.
But see, we have a mental health service. Yeah. We have a warming shelter now, and it does have a shower, right? Like you said, mm-hmm. But it has still, is
I get it. You have to live with all those people.
Yeah, right. And then, personalities, mm-hmm. because territoriality comes, I've found out, like somebody has their stuff there and someone else's stuff comes in near, in proximity, and then it becomes a fight or an argument. I'm not in their situation, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm blessed, you're blessed, we don't have to worry about that probably. So I think it's easy I'm not saying you are, but it's easy to be judgmental.
Sure.
And I think, and now I'd also look at what percentage of our population it fits the description you're making, like people who just have no motivation. Maybe it's 10%. I don't know. It's some small percent. So to me, even if you have no motivation currently to do X, mm-hmm. you still have a right to live, right? So, and you probably should be fed something, right? And you should, if you're sick, you should be given medicine. I mean, to me, there's some basic things mm-hmm. that we as a society should provide people, and it wouldn't cost them much, and we'd be better off. Because honestly, what I've seen, like when people are mistreated, mm-hmm. and obviously homeless people are easily attacked and mistreated, even by their own, right?
Yeah.
They harden and they become more dangerous and more problematic for society. Now, fortunately, the number of violent crimes or violent activities among these people in Galesburg, at least, is very, very few. Knock on wood, right? The people committing kind of violent crimes, what I see, and it's probably consistent with other cities, like a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of alcoholism, a lot of youth kind of violence that's driven by social media and stuff. That's kind of the violence we see in our community. That has nothing to do with the homeless people. So, I understand we have problems with the homeless people, but if we don't treat people with modicum of respect and give them some chance, to me, they're only going to get worse. So, a small investment can go a long way. And I want to say we have over the last, I've been mayor now 5 years. We have started. Over the last 5 years, we have been able to reintroduce people into normal society who were homeless in this city, and it's several dozen, and I'm proud of that. I mean, and we don't know who those people are. Like, we're not out there jumping in the streets. Oh, look at so and so, right? But Derek Antoine, who works with the Housing Authority, he could tell you because he works directly with a lot of people like that. Mm-hmm. The Salvation Army has done quite a bit of work in that area. I mean, even the Rescue Mission has done work in that same vein, and so. There is, back to the point, I have optimism about it. We just have to go a little bit further. We've done a lot, but a little bit more, I think, and we'll make the case. Now,
that was pretty much it of the interview that I had with Mayor Schwartzman. Now, after you guys listening to it, in your honest opinion, what are your thoughts after hearing him speak about what he spoke about? I'll be honest with you. the show to me, I don't judge anybody. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm not going to say you're right, because at the end of the day, we all have our own reservations about things. If you've heard in there when I was speaking about the homeless, it is, in my opinion, I'm not happy about them just constantly riding on the bus, or just simply doing nothing with their life. I will say that I have encountered numerous homeless, more than he has stated, that have come into this town that I, in my opinion, don't feel is needed. Now, how you feel, that is how you feel, and you are, you can feel however you'd like. Again, this podcast, in my way, is you listen and you don't judge. People are going to say what they want to say. I have my own thoughts of things. You will have your own thoughts of things. And I'm just saying it is, in my opinion, Americans can't even hardly take care of themselves. So when you get homeless in this town that we have never seen, which you have to admit we have seen a lot more here, if we can't even take care of ourselves hardly, how are we going to take care of those who aren't even from here? Like, I feel we need to honestly take care of our people first before anybody else comes in here. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know below how you feel. Until next time, I will see you again, and I thank you for listening. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends. Click that like button, and I hope to see you and hear from you hopefully again. Thank you, guys.